And we are live, queuing up the theme song. Let's go.
It's time to get real. It's a new experience. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. You got questions for RLM? It's time to get some answers, baby. Oh, now we getting real. Time to get down. It's gonna feel good now.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Rebecca L. Norrington, Global Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner, Oracle, Reiki Practitioner, mother. In fact, you just heard my son. That was his creation. That's my theme song. What was it, 15 years ago? But most importantly, a student, ongoing learning and ongoing expanding, ongoing awareness, just growth, whatever you want to call it. The lessons, the growth never ends until I breathe my last human breath. And today I'm so excited. I have a special guest. And if you watch the show, I don't have too many guests on the show, but today is a very special occasion. But before I welcome and introduce my guest, which you can see, this way, right there, Kat Schwarz. Yay. I want to share with you, especially new listeners. I'm getting generically just people finding me by whatever means. What the hell, a happiness specialist? Who the hell does she think she is? Happy. And the truth is, when I say happy, I'm talking about a personal vibration, a personal energy of contentment, of peace, regardless of what happens, regardless of what doesn't happen. Is it possible to maintain and sustain that energy of contentment? And the answer is yes, with practice. Happiness, inner peace, contentment are all practice skills. And that's what I share, what to practice. And in fact, thanks for asking, Kat, my latest book, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. This is on Amazon. This was published last year. And in this book, I list 56 program behavior. What's a program behavior? 56 program behaviors that subtract from your happiness. And so the practice is just to, in different levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. The practice is to put a light on and expose these program behaviors and practice eliminating them one by one. Is it an easy practice? Hell no, because why? It's all done in the, damn it, where's my prop? Hold on a second. Kat, hold on.
I'm so entertained. I don't know about your audience, but I'm having a great time here. I'm sure your audience is equally entertained or they wouldn't be your audience. Hello.
Listen, the practice is all done.
I see what you did there.
Yes, in the mirror.
Becca.
And so the thing is, it's how many people are rushing to the mirror to say, oh, what can I do? What can I change? How can I grow? No, it's usually pointing the finger outward. And that's why the practice is challenging, I'm going to say, but I'm telling you the rewards are worth more than any amount of money. And just before we get into it, hold on, one more thing, Kat. What I like to share at the beginning of the show is there is a very famous study. It's called The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. Have you heard of it?
Yes,
Yeah, 5 most common regrets of the dying. And it was done by a hospice nurse, Bronnie Ware, and you can Google it. And so she asked her patients who had days to live, weeks to live, months to live, what are your 5 biggest regrets? I don't know about you, but I think that's a powerful question, especially to people that are, 1 foot in the grave. Anyway, oops. Number 1, I wish I had pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard. I don't have that problem. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. We don't have that problem. Scratch the problem. Let me just throw in challenge. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And number 5, I wish I would have let myself be happier. So for me, and I'm speaking from personal experience, that's the ultimate contentment, peace, how to practice living in the present moment. That's it. Everything else is just icing on the cake. Now let me introduce my guest. Thank you for being patient. She's so patient.
I have so much to say already.
Good. That's good. And so this is going to be a free flowing interview, scratch the interview, a chat, talking. And so Kat Schwarz is a holistic healer, coach, and the owner of Compassionate Healing Services, a mental health company located in Medford, New Jersey, that treats mental health through spirituality. And we met each other on the OWL app, OWWLL. And you know how the universe works. They put people together, connect people when it's time, when we're supposed to meet. I'm not getting chills now. And so we just, I'm going to speak for myself. I felt a connection right away. I felt this is my family. So, and then she asked, can't you be on the show? And usually I say, hell no, but
I'm a bold bitch.
I was compelled to say yes, and here you are. So please share with the audience whatever you want to.
Well, just in response to what you opened the show with, I mean, as somebody who has not only been to hell and back at least 3, possibly 4 times now, 2025 is probably the worst. Happiness is indeed an inside job. It turns out that no matter what happens to you, no matter how many people try to knock you off your square or destroy your life, you have the choice not to suffer and not to take on their projections as your truth. And you don't have to keep those people in your life, and you don't have to live a life that's expected of you. You can live the life that you want to live. You don't have to stay in a situation that's making you miserable, and so, I ended an engagement that I thought would be forever. I ended a marriage that I thought would be forever. And a lot of that came from a really, really traumatic household and, growing up. And one of the main traumas that I experienced was death trauma. There were a lot of others, but starting at the age of 6, my grandfather died in a room in my home that would ultimately also be the last, place that both my grandmother and then my own father all passed away after chronic illness at various stages of my life. So my home in some sense was like a funeral home, where I had the opportunity to witness death firsthand. And, on the last day of my father's life, which he wasn't conscious, but I was in the hospital bed with him. He died of metastatic lung cancer. And I didn't want him to leave the world without any regret. I didn't want my dad to leave the world having regrets, right? So I said to him,
hold on a second. How old were you?
I was 21.
Okay, so it's very interesting because one of the program behavior, I'm just going to jump in. One of the program behaviors is I don't want my dad to, and I'm just throwing it out there only because this journey is so unique. And if the universe deems your father to leave in any type of way, the practice for me, I'm just going to have to say for me, is acceptance of whatever the universe wills. And it sucks because the mind, my ego, which I separate totally. I'm not my mind. I'm not my ego. I definitely my Rebecca would prefer a lot of different things, but Rebecca is not in charge. Rebecca is not the one that I get any information from. But go ahead. I just wanted to
And,
throw that out.
and respectfully, Rebecca is way older than she looks. I won't divulge her age because that's not my place. But I was shocked when I found out.
69. I'll be 70 in December. Thanks for outing me. No, I could care less.
My point in bringing that up is 69-year-old Rebecca is very, very wise. 21-year-old Kathleen was very, very pissed because my dad was the only person in my home that I liked, frankly. My mom was a monster. She had, in my eyes, she had unchecked and untreated mental illness. And when she wasn't going absolute ape shit at me, she was treating me like Cinderella and was very cold and, kind of jealous and just not a motherly, warm, nurturing figure for me. And my brother was a daily torturer. I mean, torture is the right word for what my brother put me through for 12 straight years. He was 3 years older than me. He was a lot bigger than me. He was very, very mean. He was compared to Buzz from Home Alone, if you remember those movies, and that was like laughed about and normalized as if that wasn't absolutely terrifying to live with every single day. And the absolute worst thing that he did to me, I mean, he physically abused me, he mentally and psychologically and emotionally abused me, but he would say every single day, no one cares what you have to say, Kathleen. No one cares what you have to say. And it just basically silenced me and like put me into submission, literally. And, my home became a survival place, because between my parents' absolutely miserable marriage that was just on display for everybody inside the four walls, but never outside, right? Because we had to maintain the facade of the perfect Catholic family. And, I always say I wasn't given a family, I was given a role to play. I was given a script.
Let me just stop you just for a second, only because when you were talking, when you said that Rebecca, the 69 Rebecca, you're absolutely right. And I've been getting chills just listening to you. My whole body is chilling up. I mean, ever since you said that, which is the truth. And I appreciate you.
Because I lost my mom in 2023 and I was 44 at that time. So I was a lot wiser and more accepting of that passing. Plus, unfortunately, my mom died after a long, fairly long battle with Parkinson's, and she was very cognitively impaired. She did recognize me as her child, but that was about as far as she could go. And, and because I come from a very toxic, abusive family in which they bullied me to this day, I was excluded from all funeral planning. I was openly mocked at the family gatherings that I wasn't invited to, but my children and ex-husband were. My cousin, I recently found out, was going to all my childhood friends asking why they still hang out with me because I'm crazy. Because that's what happens to the person who's most sensitive and is least able to tolerate the abuse and the toxicity and the never-ending assaults on the nervous system. We are labeled weird, too much, too sensitive, addicts. We're crazy. We're put on pills. We're put in institutions. We're told our drinking is the problem or our shooting up is the problem instead of the fucking problem, which is trauma. And a never-ending assault in dysfunctional families. And, mental illness doesn't run in families. Trauma runs in families until there's a cycle breaker. But let me tell you what it takes to be a cycle breaker. My God, most people do not live through what I have been through. They either have killed themselves, they have killed others because hurt people, right? Well, not all of us, but it's damn hard not to make that choice, right? When you've been brutalized by the people that you call family or husband. My ex-husband was not the abusive one. Excuse me. My ex-fiance, incredibly abusive. It was a narcissistic relationship, and it was, it was the hardest lesson I've learned yet. And I'm 46 and I already had a suicidal crisis. So most people do not survive what I've been through, which is why I'm here to be the voice for them because I'm fucking here and I survived. And, and no matter what they have thrown at me, as we started off saying, I have figured out the key to happiness is just not taking on any of their unhealed bullshit as mine and doing my work, which is the only work I can do, I can't change anybody else. I can't change if they're still sending me whatever gossip and lies and all their bullshit. I don't care. What you think of me is none of my fucking business. I like me. It's taken me a really long time to like me. And the women and the people that are attracted to work with me, their lives are shifting and changing in such dramatic ways in such a short time of knowing me, much less working with me, that I'm so confident at this point that this path is, directly divinely led and guided. And that's not a mystery to me. That's how I've stayed here, frankly. My faith in God, my faith in the divine, my ability to see the signs and synchronicities. They are not subtle. You know that, Rebecca. When you are on your divine path, God helps you know that, because
let me share this, and this is you put your seatbelt on, because it's all a divine path, even the one that my mind or my ego will look out and judge and say, I would have never preferred that. You've heard of Esther Hicks and Abraham.
I talk to Abraham every day. Yes, I know exactly.
Okay. Well, listen, I flipped Abraham off when I went to it was in California, probably 15 years ago, before I moved to Oregon. Anyway, I went to a seminar, and I got to experience that in person. And I remember thinking, you got an easy life, Abraham. You're up there. You're doing. Try it down here. But one of the things that Abraham said was, it's very hard to comprehend when people come back, animals come back, and reincarnate into whatever they've chosen before they get here. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Some animals choose to be eaten. And it just hit me. Choose. They want to experience being eaten. They want to experience even what is incomprehensible. So with that, I'm listening to you, and all of this, what the world would call, what most would call trauma, evil, torture, you said. I'm thinking that, and it's hard to even get it. It really is. I'm not, oh yeah, I'm getting chills again. I know you can list all of the good, all of the lessons, all of the things that you were exposed to, and I'm not poo-pooing it, but look at what even the trauma, to what level you are right now. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. And 46-year-old Kat, the spiritual teacher, coach, and leader, says the same thing to my own coaching container every single day. I know that you're always exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn when you need to learn it. That's what divine timing is, baby. It's divine, right? So, 46 years, a lifetime or 2 or 4 or 100, it ain't no thing when you're eternal, right? And you have literally eternity to figure this out. And I would go even a layer deeper, Rebecca, and say, I have no doubt that in past lifetimes, I have not survived this. Let's just put it probably I feel like I was definitely burned at the stake at some point. Let's be clear, but then probably before that, I was the narcissist who was, coming straight from and only from my ego and operating completely out of wounding and shame and jealousy and insecurity and the need to cut others down to make yourself feel big, right? That's what we do as humans. We grow and we evolve, right? And we learn lessons, and sometimes we don't. And some people are here to teach us or show us what it looks like when we don't evolve and we make really bad choices that have consequences that can be undone.
Well, I'm hearing what you're saying. You're talking about humans, and I contend that when you're programmed, you're number one, the universe, God wants to experience this it wants to experience all of it. Number two, if you're programmed and you don't recognize your programming, you're not making any choices. A robot can't make any choices other than what they're programmed to make. But I just got this yesterday. This is, do you know Alan Watts?
Yes.
Yeah, Alan Watts. And it just hit me. It says, suppose you are God. Suppose you are God. And I think it's only a minute. I would like to play it. Okay, I will. Hold on. Yeah, it says, suppose you are a God. Let me see. Uh-oh.
All time, all eternity, and all eternity. Suppose you're God. Suppose you have all time, all eternity, and all power at your disposal. You were given the power to dream any dream you wanted to dream every night. What would you do? You could dream any span of time. You could dream 75 years of time in one night, 100 years of time in one night, 1,000 years of time in one night. And it could be anything you wanted. You make up your mind before you went to sleep, tonight I'm going to dream of so-and-so. Well, naturally, you would start out by fulfilling all your wishes. You would have all the pleasures you could imagine, the most marvelous meals, the most entrancing love affairs, the most romantic journeys. You could listen to music such as no mortal has heard and see landscapes beyond our wildest dreams. And for several nights, maybe for a whole month of nights, you would go on that way, having a wonderful time. But then after a while, you'd begin to think, well, I've seen quite a bit. Let's spice it up. Let's have a little adventure. And therefore, you would dream of yourself being threatened by all sorts of dangers. You would rescue princesses from dragons. You would perhaps engage in notable battles. You would be a hero. And then, as time went on, you would dare yourself to do more and more outrageous things. And at some point in the game, you would say, tonight, I am going to dream in such a way that I don't know that I'm dreaming, so that you would take the experience of the dream for complete reality. And what a shock when you woke up. And you really scare yourself. And then, on successive nights, you might dare yourself to experience the most extraordinary things just for the contrast when you woke up. You could, for example, dream yourself in situations of extreme poverty, disease, agony. You could, as it were, work on the vibration of suffering to its most intense point, and then suddenly, whoop, wake up and find it was after all nothing but a dream and everything perfectly okay. And you would say, wow, man, that was a gas. Well, how do you know that that's not what you're doing already? You, sitting there with all your problems, with all your whole complicated life situation, listening to me, it may just be the very dream you decided to get into. If you like it, crazy. If you don't like it, what fun it'll be when you wake up. Suppose you're gone.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I know that's what's happening here. I mean, that's the thing when you get to the level of spiritual development that you and I are at, we don't believe anymore. We know, right? And when then we're just looking for more and more understanding. And like you said, the forever student, there's always, I mean, we're talking about infinite intelligence here, right? There's always going to be something new to uncover, right? We're always raising our level of consciousness, or we're not, right? We're choosing to be at that. We're choosing to be the villain in this lifetime. We're choosing to be the victim in this lifetime, right? Where we're not changing, we're choosing. So, look at your own life and decide what role you're playing, because you are creating it. It's not a mystery at this point. It's quantum physics and mechanics. It's applied spirituality, right? Let's start putting the puzzle pieces together. And what you said before about with the when you're operating from your wounding, you're not really making choices. I think it was Carl Jung that said, until you make the unconscious conscious, you will steal your life and call it fate, or something like that. You're calling it fate when you are making choices day in, day out, moment in, moment out of where your focus is. Is it on the trauma, the fear, the pain, the bitterness, the anger, the shouldn't have been me, why me, right? Or is it on, okay, why not me? right? What could I learn from this? What do I know now in my case about narcissism that I didn't know before that is going to help my clients in a very, very real way get out of dangerous, even lethal situations, right?
Well,
How
well,
can
hold on, because listen, a lot of with a narcissist comes a victim, and they're both at the same vibrational level. Not one is better than the other. So that's what I'm saying. One of the things that I practice, when I said 56 program behaviors, is not labeling an experience. I know it's not easy. I know it's not hard, and it's also the labeling of anyone. Oh, this hurts talking about myself. The labeling anyone of whatever, whether they're racist, a narcissist, arrogant, entitled, whatever you want to label anybody else, know that you're talking about yourself. You cannot recognize, what is it? You cannot name it. You cannot name it unless you claim it. And so I practiced at 69, and you're absolutely right, Kat. I was not there at 40. They're giving me all this. I can't even say late. They're giving me everything when it's time. But the practice is not to label, and the practice is not to attach a story as to why I'm feeling a certain way. I'm human, and all humans feel a variety of emotions. And I don't even label, oh, this is crazy. I don't even label my emotions. Sad, lonely, happy. It is a vibration, and it is, I'm just feeling in the moment. I'm human because I am human. I'm feeling all kinds of things. But to label it puts a judgment on it. All judgments subtract from happiness. And so my practice is to this life, and I get it. This is a different level of understanding. This life is just an experience without a judgment, without a story attached. Who is authoring the story in the first place? Is that God's story, or is that a human story? Mind story, the ego story. So it's a different way of living, and I was not there 20, 30, 40, 50. This just happened last week. No.
I want to respectfully debate you just on a couple of points here. When I talk about, when people come to work with me, they are often suicidal. They are in relationships that are literally killing them. And part of my work with them is to help them see that they are in dangerous situations with people who have bad intentions, because that to me am I, like every other human, sometimes narcissistic? Absolutely. Right? But is my intent, does some of that behavior come from my shadow and my unconscious, and my wounds that I haven't healed yet, and my traumas, and the fact that I'm still very much on my spiritual path, as I always will be? Yes, it does never comes from an intention to harm another person, especially someone I love, right? Whereas there are people in this world, and I've been in many relationships with them, family, friends, coworkers, lovers, where their intention is to harm. And that is a situation that you can't spiritually bypass. You have to get out of that situation, right? Those situations. I mean, one of my clients is the mother of Gabby Petito, who was murdered on a road trip by her fiance in 2021. These situations are dangerous, and they're real, and they're earthly, and they're happening all around us, right? And once you're out of those situations, if you ever want to find happiness, to your point, you have to figure out that, yes, you were a vibrational match to that energy, or you never would have come together. The empath and the narcissist have both been deeply wounded, one has manipulates through lying, cheating, betraying, all of that. The other manipulates through overgiving. Oh my God, I'm going to give. Please just give me a little tiny bit back and show me I'm worthy, right? And as opposed to actually figuring out that you're worthy on your own. You don't need a partner. Happiness, again, is an inside job. You can meet the most amazing person in the whole world, and if you're unhealed, you will lose them, or you won't see the gift in them. Because we don't see the world as we are as it is. We see the world as we are.
That's
right.
right.
So I
That's
think,
right. That's right. And I agree. And so what you're saying is, and what I'm talking about is another level. And what you're talking about is meeting a person at where they are and assisting them where they are. And I totally get that. I totally understand that. And you're absolutely right. And yeah, good. I agree. I agree totally. And so
yeah,
what you're talking about assisting, you're talking about assisting people at this level of they need help, and I mean
yeah,
that in the most strongest, most powerful way. You're saving. I mean, I say saving. Life raft saving, and I look at it. You are doing what you are destined to do, and they are doing and you're destined to meet them, and you're destined to save them. And this is terrible. And the people and they're also their destiny. Some people have a destiny. Some people have another destiny that is very difficult to accept, which is suicide.
that's a choice. It's a choice people make, and I don't view suicide as a selfish choice. I don't. I think I don't know that anybody who's ever made that choice has come to that conclusion quickly. It's something you think about probably for years, if not decades, before you actually do it. And as someone who's now contemplated twice, you have to realize that it's not that the person wants to die. It's just that you literally don't know how to survive the pain that you're in.
And
it just doesn't feel survivable.
Did you make that decision before you came here? That's what you wanted to experience?
Oh, yes. I believe that, I mean, if I had to put one umbrella term on what I'm here to do on earth, it's suicide prevention. And it's through both the complex trauma lens and understanding, in which I have a lot of training in regards to understanding the adverse childhood experiences studied from 1995. It's been around a while. People showed that the majority of adults, and we're talking about their original respondents, were predominantly white, college-educated, health-insured, professional people. So the 1%ers, right? And we're talking about among even this population, that the majority of adults experience at least one adverse event in childhood or childhood trauma that was significant enough to be currently impacting or likely to their mental and physical health. And we're talking with this 10-question questionnaire. There's questions like, did your parents get divorced? How many children of divorce are walking around not realizing that they have a significant trauma that they are healing from, but it's just so normalized that we don't view it as trauma. So that's the one way in which I'm really here to shed a light, and all the inadequacies of the mental health care system in treating trauma, but even more so the blind spots with mental health care, and the fact that some of us, especially those of us identify as empaths, are actually very, very spiritually gifted and intuitive. And those symptoms of that, whether it's we're seeing things other people can't see, we know things other people don't know, we hear things other people don't hear, or we feel things other people don't feel, those symptoms are called crazy. I was called bipolar because of my ability to feel and channel energy and messages, right? That's what they were trying to tell me I was bipolar. And the point of the label seemed to be, let's shut this girl the fuck up. Because
that's one perspective. And what I want to come back to is to realize that the mind, the ego, can only come up with one perspective. So what I'm saying is there is another perspective that, just like Alan Watts said, that there is, I want the God, universe, consciousness wanted to experience all of this crap. That's just
Absolutely.
Another perspective. So just being, for me, it's just being aware, and it's not easy that this is what God wants to experience. And so what am I? Yeah. And so what am I doing? What am I doing here? I'm here to practice acceptance, and here to be an example of the universe, and here to share what the I'm going to say knowledge, wisdom that I have picked up along the way over these 45 years of practice. And so I look at the world as everything, and this is crazy, but it's not crazy. Everything is in order. Everything is in order, regardless of what my humanness wants to believe. Do I know? I believe it. I trust it. I know it. It's all in order, and it's always been in order.
And I, again, 100% believe, I not only, I know what you're saying is absolutely true because I experience the same truth. And in the same vein as earlier, I'm meeting people where they are, because the reality is people are within a mental health care system that is calling them crazy, putting them on medications that are literally worse than the symptoms they're treating. I mean, when I finally said out loud to after 9 years of traditional mental health care, including 6 solid months of not being able to work, doing a partial hospitalization program, being at the absolute top of like what I was supposed to be doing, and the suicidal thoughts were the loudest in my head. I was being treated less than human by the people behind those walls. We all were. I had the I'm not going to focus on the negative, but it was such a horrific experience that, again, suicidal thoughts were the loudest in my head. And when I finally went to the ER for the suicidal thoughts, the intake person told me that the specific medication I was on was known to cause suicidal thoughts. So it's like, and I have to sit in restaurants now and watch the ads for that medication come up on the screen. It's Rexulti, by the way. Scary stuff. Don't use it, right? Like, it's just, we have to.
I'll put my prescription in the trash. Thanks for the warning.
Right. Exactly. We have to shine a light on the reality of what is happening right now. The reason we're losing so many beings to suicide, homicides, and alcohol and drugs, because I believe that people like us have the actual answers, right? That these are the actual conversations that are leading to systemic, real change that's rooted in spirituality and love and acceptance and forgiveness and community, and getting rid of all the fucking labels, because they don't matter. We're all just human beings, regardless of our gender expression or our body type or our skin color or whatever it is, right? It's you are made exactly in God's perfect image. You are exactly who you're supposed to be. The you that's peering out your eyes right now is your higher self in God experiencing the universe through you. And you are a miracle.
And you are experiencing exactly what God wants you to experience, because God wants to experience it. The experience is God's experience too. And that's and I listen, we're talking the same thing, but at a different, we're saying the same thing. We really are.
And I even want to go a little deeper, because you mentioned emotional labels, because this is deep and this is so important. I actually tried, film myself and everything to get on a TED stage to talk about this, because I think this information will save lives. You are so connected to source energy, which is the highest vibration, right? You can call that unconditional love, although recently studies have been showing that the vibration of authenticity is 40 times greater than unconditional love. Because imagine that, which makes sense if you realize that you are so you on purpose, right? God made you exactly who you are to have this exact experience, right? So being your authentic self is the highest vibration, right? So you are so connected to that when the human you, the ego you, the mind you, the traumatized you says, no, I'm a small human, I'm worthless, I'm powerless, I'm shameful, I'm guilty, I should just people please or kill myself or shoot myself up. That feeling of despair that you feel, that feeling of sadness or whatever label would you be put on it, is because your higher self doesn't fucking agree with you. And it's not going to close the gap of what you really are and what human you has decided you are. So until human you realize is that you're powerful, that you're loving, you're made of love, you have the ability to love no matter how little love you've received. If you want love, give it out. Go love a pet, go love a plant, go love a neighbor, an elderly neighbor who's lonely as hell, right? Go love on, put love out in the world. And when you are do the practice, like you said before, everything's a practice. I think bravery is a practice, right? We
Let's back up a little bit. Bravery is a practice. What is bravery? Bravery is just another human term. Courage, bravery is just another human. And this human is the human side. I don't rely on it for shit. It's not going to get me to a place of peace. My human side, my human voice, my human analyzing conclusion,
I call it the
theories.
itty bitty shitty committee.
Hmm?
I call it the itty bitty shitty committee.
Yeah, whatever. I witness it. I don't give it any power. I don't give it any focus. But what I'm saying is it's a challenging place to live. And what you're saying is you meet people where they are. And I know how to meet people where they are also, but I also know and trust the bigger picture, which is everything is in order. And one of the program behaviors, seatbelt for this, seatbelt. This is level 3. One of the two program behaviors is thinking something is serious and thinking something is important. I can still deliver my message. I can still share. I can still teach. I can still be the example of the universe without that energy of, this is serious. This is important.
Well, that's what Abraham Hicks says all the time. There's nothing serious going on here.
And in fact, there's another one. What's his name? David Anka. He channels Barsha. Have you heard of that one? Barsha. Yeah, Bashar. Thank you, Bashar. This guy would just ruin my whole life. It's all meaningless.
Right.
So when I practice staying in that place of who I know I am, it's all meaningless anyway. But I'm still doing my thing. I lose that mindful ego. This is serious. That's all I wanted to say.
And look no further than anyone who's had a near-death experience, to tell you that, right? Like the moment your life is about to end, you're like, fuck, all the things that I thought were incredibly important aren't important. All the people I was pouring into didn't matter, right? All the times that I pulled back myself from happiness, I wish I had leaned in, right? Like, so exactly. I mean, it's, and what did you say?
As they say, bars.
And Abraham, thank you. And Abraham even says they call it croaking to be disrespectful because they say we take dying croaking. They're intentionally disrespectful to dying. They call it croaking because they say on the other side, we literally are like, I'm going to go first next time. No, I'm going to go first next time. No, I'm going to go first, right? And as I've discovered, because one of my many hats that I wear is mediumship, and my mediumship style is very tangible. Like spirit sends me very obvious, crazy signs that I capture and, can pass on to my clients. And, like my reconnection with my parents is so real. I mean, I have a relationship with my parents who are both dead, but the thing is, there's no such thing as death. There's life, and then there's life after life. And now we're in such a vibrational time in the universe that the veil is essentially gone, and spirit is just able to play with everything. I mean, I lost a pair of earrings, or I lost one earring the other day, and I went off to work, and I was so upset because I love this pair of earrings, right? And I just couldn't find it. I went off to work. I came back. It was just sitting right on my table. No one, I don't know how it got there. My roommate was like, definitely not me. Didn't touch it. It was, and that's just like, okay, thanks, spirit. Thanks. Appreciate you finding my earring. I mean, at this point, it's just normal to me to just recognize that, that spirits are around me. And, when clients come, or a lot of clients, oh, is my dad with me? And it's like, honey, your dad has never left you for a single second. Your dad is actually inside your heart chakra. Do you know that? And that only your grief and your lack of understanding and belief of that is keeping you from actually reestablishing a connection with them, with your father.
Well, so I wouldn't say only you're this or that. I would say it's just not time. If it's not happening, it's only because it's not time for it to happen. You know, this thing for me, this I'm doing something to block, and this is another one. Let me just do this. Hold on. ENRTUST. This whole thing about blocking, I have the ability to block what God wants to happen. I'm not buying into it. So if somebody isn't feeling it or understanding it or grasping it, or the light bulb hasn't gone on, it's not because they're not there. This is my perspective, and I know there's millions of perspectives. Another thing, I practice watching. How many perspectives do I have? And am I just coming up with one perspective? You've offered different perspectives to me today, and so the universe is millions, billions, trillions of it's that. There's no number of perspectives. And so I'm very mindful of only have one perspective. But back to, it's not time. If something's happening or not happening in someone's life, it's only because it's not time.
True. Yeah, no, bars for me too. I mean, there's nothing, like you said earlier, I don't think we're disagreeing in any way in anything. Honestly, I think we're just adding additional complexity and nuance to each other's perspective. Yeah,
we're doing a compound, especially coming from different places, and just I get chills from you. I'm getting chills now, coming from different places, and actually offering more.
Which is what collaboration and co-creation is all about, right? We're greater than the sum of our parts. And, you know, I mean, I truly believe we are, what at this point, 8 billion, 10, how many humans are we? many billions of humans. What's that?
I said, yeah, a little over 8 billion, I think now.
Right. I think we're 8 billion souls, and, you know, all having a unique human experience and that's exactly right for us. And this is something to talk about too, because it's very, you know, the name of my company is Compassionate Healing Services for a reason. I lead with compassion, but compassion fatigue is real, especially when you live in an age where you have availability to horrific images that humans were never, ever meant to see, you know, that a lot of people re-traumatize ourselves with every day. That, as Abraham Hicks says, you cannot get poor enough to make someone else rich, or sick enough to make someone else well, or miserable enough to make someone else happy, right? The only way we actually can serve one another, especially our children and our closest loved ones, is through our own alignment, through our own rebellious persistence to find happiness in every day, despite what we've been through, despite racism, despite the mental health care system, despite.
Well, there's nothing to rebel from. There's no such thing as the other. There's no, these human programs. There's no such thing. That's what I'm saying. It's the programming that is causing the suffering, not the action itself. It's the programming and the belief of what this is. You said something about you said something about the images that humans are not meant to see. What you know, I understand what you're saying at a human level. I don't want to see somebody's head cut off. No. However, and this is out there. However, who's saying that anyway? I can't even say it, because I can say it, but I just know that it is all in order, in divine order, and the mind cannot comprehend it. That's why I don't leave it to the mind to even make a conclusion or make a theory. Just trust. Anyway, guess what? This is horrible. But I want you to share with the audience where they can find you. Where they can find you, you know, your social media, because it's over. We've actually gone 4 minutes over. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. That is horrible then. Okay, you can find me.
See, that's the worst.
This is so much fun. I'm so grateful that you chose me as your guest. It was a lot of fun. Okay, you can find me on Facebook at Kat, K-A-T, Schwarz, no T, S-C-H-W-A-R-Z. You can find me at katschwarz.com. And email is, just find me on social media, actually. Instagram is KATSCHWARZ_CHS. That's the first three
Spell
letters.
Spell it again, but a little bit slower. Go.
KATSCHWARZ_CHS.
Yes, you're a fast talker. That's okay. I can
I'm a
jump
New Yorker.
in. I can dive in.
I'm a New
Yes.
Yorker.
Yes. Well, that's the end of today's show. I want to thank my guest, Kat Schwarz. Thank you for listening to Reality Spirituality. It's heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Follow me on Twitter, or scratch that. Follow me on X at RL Norrington. LinkedIn, my Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. My YouTube channel, you'll be able to watch this interview as long as you like, forever and ever and ever. It's going to be on my YouTube channel, which is Rebecca Norrington. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, was published in 2014. And my latest book, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. It was international bestseller, Amazon bestseller, but you know there's a formula for that. But it is on Amazon. And in this book, I list 56 program behaviors. Kat, do you worry?
Not anymore.
Okay,
But
so that's an absolute no.
So.
That's an absolute no. So the only reason why people worry, number one, it's a program, and number two, it's a lack of practicing trust. You can't worry and trust at the same time. And the thing about, addictions, I'm talking about the addiction to drugs or gambling or shopping or eating. There's an addiction to worrying. There's addiction to these program behaviors. There's addiction to judging. There's addiction to complaining. There's an addiction to looking at the world through one way. Anyway, I could go on forever. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe, conscious energy, which is always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be kind and be patient with yourself. Be your own best friend. And remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. That's from Abraham. You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with my guest today, Kat Schwarz. Happiness is a practice skill. And remember, I promised you, whatever you practice, the more you will receive. So you practice acceptance, you practice trust, you practice patience, you practice not resisting the present moment, and you practice living in the present moment. Happiness is a conscious practice skill. Talk to you next week.
Thank you.
You got a question for RL?
I always mess this up.
It's time to get some answer, baby. Oh, now we get real. Got to get down.
Good now. I'm going to end the live stream, but come back in.
Okay.